Story 1. Make time. If someone wants to spend time with you, do whatever you can to be with them. If you cannot, then schedule a time when you can. I have stage 4 cancer, and many people do not understand the importance of making time. Story 2. Do not walk in the middle of the path. Do not stand directly in front of the elevator door. Make space for others. You do not live on this earth alone. I get irrationally angry at people who walk right down the middle, especially when they zigzag. They are just living their life, but I become livid. I need to work on that. Meanwhile, I walk slowly along the edges like a creeper. Story 3. For me, if I borrow something from someone, I always return it in better condition than I received it. For example, if it is a book, I will include a new bookmark. If it is a car, I will fill the fuel tank a little. Most people just hand items back saying, "Here, same as before." But I do it differently. Story 4. Don't lie or make things up. Just be honest, preferably kindly honest. For example, a friend asked me to go watch races at the car track, and I told them I wanted to go because I like spending time with them, but I absolutely did not want to go at all. And I didn't. We are still friends because we can be honest. Story 5. Be aware of your surroundings when in public. Many people stop in the middle of the street or do not look around when they start walking or change direction. It is surprising how many people lack this awareness. Also, be aware of potential risks. For example, many people stare down at their phones while walking or wear 2 earphones or headphones. You might as well put a sign on your head saying, "Easy target. Rob me." I am always aware of what and who is around me, so seeing so many people oblivious to their surroundings is concerning. Story 6. My rule for myself is that if I cannot afford to pay for something in cash, then I am not putting it on a credit card. It has kept me out of debt, and I have an excellent credit rating. Story 7. No one out in public, and I mean absolutely no one, wants to hear anything going into or coming out of your phone. Turn it off, put it away, or at the very least go someplace semi-private to watch your TikTok videos or talk about Aunt Juanita's sciatica. Story 8. Do not lie. Just do not. You do not have to be brutally honest, but do not lie. Ever. Story 9. Do not speak negatively about someone who is not present to defend themselves. That is my one rule. The rule continues, though. If you have an issue with something that involves me, say it to my face. 90% of the time, I will not take offense. Because 90% of the time, it is a misunderstanding. I try to seek resolution, and we will either part ways happier or fix the issue and remain calm. However, people who sneak around and speak negatively lose my respect, and I do not acknowledge them. Story 10. No pajamas in public. I leave my house dressed for outside. Story 11. Always treat people the way you would like to be treated. The only exception is people who are harmful to you or others. I do not understand people who are horrible to others for no reason. I always put myself in the other person's shoes and think about how I would feel if I were them and being treated like that. Story 12. Before I do something that will probably upset me, I do a breathing exercise. Story 13. If I find money on the ground, it is officially treat yourself day. Apparently, no one else gets the memo. Story 14. A couple of years ago, I decided to stop killing spiders. Spiders cannot help that they are spiders, and they are only trying to live their best life. They are mostly harmless and they kill actual pests like houseflies. People look at me like I am crazy when I tell them that. Story 15. I do not sit on my bed with outside clothes. I commute and go to the gym, so I know where my body was and what my clothes touched. Therefore, I cannot allow myself to sit naked in the same bed that touched those dirty clothes. Story 16. What is with all these good sensible rules? We need some arbitrary nonsense. Mine is never date a girl with the same first name as one you have already dated. Literally no reason. I am not superstitious. I do not think anything bad will happen. I just will not do it. Yes, I have turned down women I really liked before because of this. Story 17. No drama or toxicity, none at all. I do not tolerate hidden agendas, pettiness, or snooping. I am in my 40s, and it has been a difficult journey to get where I am today, both mentally and physically. I have worked hard to build my life and overcome all the obstacles that have been thrown my way. Yet, every once in a while, there is someone in my life who tries to involve me in all sorts of drama, believing they have the right to do so. For reference, this often includes my extended family. I never answer the phone anymore. Story 18. Do not be greedy. I do my best to only use and take what I need and give what I can, but those around me seem to just want more and more, even if they do not need it. It is slightly annoying. Story 19. Always go to the bathroom when one is available. Be kind. People are most likely not mad at you. They are just frustrated. You do not know what is going on in their life or what kind of day they are having. Being kind either helps them calm down or makes you feel bad afterwards for being unkind to someone who was just trying to be kind. Be honest, but not in a hurtful way. There are many ways to express something, so there is no reason to be rude. Just say no if you do not want to or do not have the energy. It is okay to say no, and you do not need an excuse or try to talk yourself out of it. Just say no. It does not matter if they get mad. It literally does not. Story 20. Do not trust overly friendly people. They are the ones who have caused the most damage in my life. Story 21. If I go out to eat and there are problems such as poor service or bad food, I simply do not return to that place. I do not complain, ask to speak to a manager, leave a negative review, or give a bad tip. I just choose not to spend my money there anymore. I'm not their teacher or caregiver, so I am not responsible for giving them lessons on how to run their business or treat customers. Instead, I spend my time and money at places that do things right, while considering bad experiences as places to avoid in the future. Story 22. As a teacher, students are whole people. They are not blank slates. They notice more than you know. They lead interesting lives, every bit as important and rich as yours. They have rights and feelings. Those feelings are important. Even good children have bad days just like adults. Children benefit from structure but also require leniency. Teenagers look like little adults, but they are still children and need emotional support. Story 23. Treat people like you want to be treated. Pick up your feet when you walk. If you cook, clean up after yourself. Close the bag of cereal. Rinse the sink after you brush your teeth. Take hair out of the drain. Wipe the toilet seat. Story 24. When your romantic partner or spouse does something, such as making dinner, thank them every time. Story 25. Do not force morals or rules on others that I do not follow myself. Furthermore, treat everyone equally and give the benefit of the doubt. Story 26. Lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on my part. Story 27. You do you, and I will do me. People often think they need to give unsolicited advice and tell me how to live my life. Story 28. Be aware of your surroundings. This is not only a safety measure but also ensures you are not blocking the aisle at the grocery store or having a loud conversation in a quiet place. To me, it is common courtesy. Story 29. Do not say anything about someone behind their back that you would not say to their face. It is important to own your words. Story 30. Treat exercise as a basic form of hygiene, like showering or brushing your teeth. Story 31. Respect is not earned. Disrespect is earned. We should all start with a basic human level of respect for everyone we meet. If someone behaves poorly, then they may have earned disrespect. However, we should not begin with disrespect and then fight and claw our way to respect. Let us start positively and change the relationship if warranted. Story 32. Don't be a one-upper. Let people share their stories and experiences without overshadowing. I am the type of person who naturally wants to share a similar experience just to let them know I relate or am listening, but many people can misinterpret those intentions. I have realized that people like to talk about themselves, so I just let them shine. Story 33. Do anything you can, when you can, to make someone else's life easier. Story 34. I do not mind if you make a mistake, but I do not want to see you make the same mistake again. Story 35. Buy 2 of everything first. When one runs out, start using the second and buy a third. Repeat forever. This means you never run out of things. Story 36. Finding a penny that is tails up and turning it over for someone else to discover brings good luck and pays it forward. Story 37. Be kinder than most people most of the time. Story 38. Never take away someone's dignity. It may be all they have left. Story 39. Give everyone a basic level of respect, but do not take nonsense from people. You can be a kind person without allowing yourself to be abused or afraid to stand up for yourself. Story 40. If I think of a joke about someone's name within 5 minutes of meeting them, they have heard it before and I should not say it. Story 41. I put some money into my savings account every week. No one else puts any money into my savings account at all. Story 42. Be honest with yourself and let your true self out. It is okay to be different. Some people may think you are strange or immature, but that is their problem. To quote the movie Step Brothers, keep your dinosaur. Obviously, stop doing this when necessary, but for the most part, just be yourself and surround yourself with others who share that uniqueness. Notice how people over 70 are either strict and boring or playful and silly. Be the second group and practice it so when you are 70 you will not be in the first group. Story 43. We are the product of millions of years of evolution. Behave accordingly. Also, basic emotional management. Story 44. My 100-year rule. If it is not going to matter in 100 years, then it probably does not really matter that much right now, no matter how much I want it to. It is for when I get upset over something trivial or something important to me but no one else. Story 45. No matter how abbreviated or quick a message you type, do not mess with name capitalization. It is the one thing I will always either get right or go back and edit. Story 46. Sleep on it. I cannot stress this enough. I used to be very impulsive with my decisions. I would make a decision right away based on what I was feeling, not on what was rational. So my new rule of life is to sleep on it, whether it is a good thing or a bad thing. Story 47. Do not care about the little things in your life. It is never good for your personal health and peace. I am impressed by the number of people upset because someone is walking too slowly and blocking the street, or upset for a month because someone said something they disapprove of. Story 48. 1. If someone says no to an offer or invitation the first time, do not keep asking unless they explicitly say that they may change their mind in the future. 2. If someone does not have children, do not ask them when they are going to have kids. Either they do not want children or they cannot have children. It is none of your business. Story 49. Speak your mind. Just say it. There is absolutely no way that you are the only person feeling or thinking that way. Honesty and direct communication are essential for having deep, real, authentic connections with others and yourself. By that, I do not mean giving unsolicited advice, being mean, rude, indiscreet, or simply unpleasant. Story 50. New clothes should replace old clothes. Every time I buy a t-shirt, the oldest one gets donated or thrown away. The same applies to socks, jeans, and underwear. This might be a minor rule in the scheme of things, but sometimes it causes me to second-guess whether I need that shirt. Story 51. Just some basic things. If someone uses their turn signal, let them in. When leaving a parking space, do it quickly. Do not wait around. Wave hello to neighbors. If someone makes a mistake while driving, give them the benefit of the doubt. Story 52. I don't know if it's much of a rule per se, but it has helped me deal with embarrassment, including secondhand embarrassment and social phobia or agoraphobia to some degree. Whenever someone else does something embarrassing, people seem to experience secondhand embarrassment. I remind myself that it's not me in the embarrassing situation. I'm not involved, so why would I feel anything? Similar with embarrassing memories keeping people up at night. Granted, I still can't sleep, but it's not because I keep remembering mistakes I made. I just remind myself that I'm not in that moment anymore, and feeling embarrassed about it does absolutely nothing. There's no point in feeling embarrassed like that, so I don't. When I am out and there are people around, I get this feeling that I am being suffocated. It feels like everyone is judging me, and every time people talk, it feels like it is about me, making me more anxious and panicky. To make it easier for myself, other than hiding my face as much as I can. I try to imagine myself being in a video game and that everyone around me is a non-player character. They have fixed paths and dialogue, and they don't judge. They don't think about me. They only do what they are supposed to do according to their code, and that doesn't necessarily involve me. This video game mindset has helped me a lot because I used to not be able to go anywhere by myself due to the constant feeling of being watched and judged. It is easier now. I also have other help like anxiety medication and headphones to help seal myself off from the world and focus only on my tasks and the music. Story 53. I assume that when someone is unpleasant, they are normally kind and are just having a terrible day. Story 54. No one cares how good you are at a certain thing. Do not brag about your achievements or tell stories that people have no connection to. For example, if someone says, "Hey, look at this castle," do not start telling people about how you or your friend did something in a completely different place that the people you are with have no connection to. Story 55. Learn something new every day. Not just silly nonsense, but truly try to teach yourself something valuable that can help you in the long run. Story 56. The only way I will not keep a promise is if I am dead. I also do not bring up any problems I have to anyone who cannot help me solve them because I believe people have enough to deal with on their own already, and I do not want them to have to think or worry about two people unnecessarily. Story 57. If I am out socializing and beer is involved, the first one goes down quickly. Then I sip the rest. Story 58. Be considerate in hotels. No one else should know you are there. Story 59. Do not waste your time arguing with any type of fundamentalist. Story 60. When able, I always pick up trash I see on the ground, especially indoors. Of course, littering or discarding waste where it should not be is wrong regardless. For me, I have a deep loathing of people who do not give a single moment of consideration to cleaning up after themselves because they believe it is not their job or problem. Story 61. If someone is doing me a favor for free that I could not do myself, I do not complain about how it is done. For example, if I am being driven somewhere because my car is unavailable, I do not critique their driving. Story 62. Your life should be building up to being the coolest grandparent or local elder you can possibly be. Story 63. Never give someone a reason to regret doing you a favor. Story 64. Pick up at least one piece of litter while walking or hiking. I believe if everyone picked up one piece, our environment would be much cleaner. Unfortunately, people will continue to litter, so this is my personal solution. Story 65. I am the company I keep. I will never associate with trash or people who keep the company of trash. Story 66. Never, ever say, "I told you so." That person knows you did. Do not add to the humiliation by gloating. This applies to children as well. If you want your children to hate you, always let them know that you know better than they do. Story 67. Only have one vice at a time. For example, only drink or only gamble. You can switch between them but never mix them. Story 68. Everyone is going through something. Be as kind as possible. Story 69. If it takes less than 2 minutes to do, just do it now. Everyone else seems to love delaying tasks. Story 70. If you borrow a vehicle or a tool, return it in as good or better condition, working and clean. Always fill the vehicle with gasoline. Story 71. If you see a car parked in the very back of an empty parking lot, it does not matter if it is a Geo Metro or an Italian car that I do not even know how to pronounce. It is not an invitation for you to park right next to it. Story 72. Do not use your phone while doing something else, especially while talking to people. There is nothing worse than someone using their phone while you are talking to them. Story 73. Semi-drivers are just doing their jobs, and cutting one off is like tripping a waitress. I don't know any truck drivers. There has never been a time in my life when I could name a truck driver. It is still wrong that people do not treat them with a little extra respect on the road. Story 74. I never make promises. If one day I cannot keep a promise, all my promises become worthless. My woord is my bond. My word means everything, and people close to me know that if I say I will do something, I will do my best to complete it. However, I will never promise. Story 75. If I am going to like you less by reading what you post, I will hide your posts so I can honestly be glad to see you in person. I do this early as a kindness for both of us, not as an act of anger. Story 76. If I am trying to say something and I get talked over, I will try one more time. If it happens a second time, I will never tell them what I was going to say, no matter what it was. If it is so unimportant to hear what I wanted to say that you talked over me twice, I am out. Story 77. To give compliments to strangers when appropriate and possible. Examples. I love your boots. You handled that customer very well. You have a warm presence. You are so kind. Your outfit is cute. You have a nice smile. I love your hair color. Your shirt has a cool pattern. You sing well. It feels wonderful to see a stranger light up when complimented. And it only takes a second. Story 78. If you feel manipulated in a relationship for the first time, end it immediately no matter how much it hurts. Story 79. I do not expect to be treated the same as my siblings or any other family member, as we are distinct individuals and it does not make sense. Story 80. Literally treat others the way you would want to be treated. Do not just leave work for someone else that you can do easily now, because who knows if they can do it later. For instance, instead of throwing a semi-full can or cup in the trash bin at work, make sure it is empty. If you know that the copies are running low, make more. Story 81. When in doubt, give up. Also known as, if something feels off or like you should not do it, then you probably should not. It may sound funny, but it is a serious principle to follow. Maybe I should not buy that new phone with my last $1,000 and just hold the money in savings until I really need a new phone. Maybe I should wear protective gloves while handling this razor blade at work. Maybe I should not get in the car with this person who frequently texts and drives. Situations like that. Story 82. Mine is no soft drink or soda in the United States until after 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. On weekends, not until after lunchtime. Story 83. I have one rule about not eating after 9 p.m., with the exception of maybe popcorn between 8 and 9 p.m. This is not a diet rule. I just don't see the point in eating right before brushing my teeth or going to bed. I also break the rule if I'm staying up late, out somewhere, or very hungry. So, it is not set in stone, I just don't eat before bed. Story 84. If I can hear your content 3 feet away, use earphones. If you do not have earphones, that is unfortunate. Story 85. When someone else is hosting a lunch or dinner party, I make sure I stick to regular food rather than trying expensive dishes. When I pay, I insist on ordering something better than usual. There are rarely any occasions where the bill is split evenly. However, I see many of my colleagues ordering based on price rather than appetite. They try new things, and sometimes the bill becomes quite high. Lately, I have stopped asking them to join me on outings. Story 86. I never let my phone drop below 90%. I plug my phone in every room of the house I go to, even when I am only going to the bathroom for a few minutes. I carry a portable charger with me whenever I leave the house as well. Story 87. If you travel for work, tip at the hotels you frequent. This will significantly improve your stay. I get to choose my own room and floor every time, plus free drinks and food, all the perks just for doing the right thing. You would be surprised how many people do not tip the cleaning staff. Story 88. Letting my turn signal flash at least twice before changing lanes. Story 89. I act as if my future self is watching and judging everything I do. Story 90. Never shout at others, no matter how badly they messed up, unless they are shouting at you. Story 91. If I would not say it to the person it pertains to, then I do not say it. I have a big mouth that I have to keep an eye on. Story 92. Never lend money to a friend or family member with any expectation that you will actually get it back. I have lent a lot of money to friends and family. I never once asked for any of it back. I have been paid back a few times, but I am just happy to help out. Story 93. When I was a teenager, I would never get in the car with any other teenagers, especially boys who were driving. I was scared. Story 94. I do not give unsolicited advice unless someone is about to hurt themselves. Story 95. Following traffic patterns when grocery shopping. I wish shopping carts had turn signals. Story 96. Be honest in everything you do, even if it hurts you. You answer only to yourself, so be honest with yourself. It is amazing what you can learn about yourself if you are open to it. Story 97. Do not be an idiot. It is amazing how few people follow that rule. Story 98. I don't know about the phrase, no one else seems to follow. In my college years, I was a hard-partying, heavy-drinking type of person. However, during that time, several incidents revealed that my father was actually a well-hidden alcoholic and a pill-popping drug addict, which eventually destroyed his high-level white-collar senior vice president career at a major bank. Suddenly, drinking to oblivion seemed less appealing than it once did. I am not one to tell you, don't drink, but I believe it requires moderation and control. I established a personal rule that I never drink 2 days in a row. If I drank on Friday night, even just a single beer, I would not drink on Saturday. Interestingly, over the past 20 years, I have only become intoxicated about 3 times. It is not that I am opposed to it. It just seems less appealing to me now. Story 99. If everyone did their job in a team, great things can be achieved. Story 100. No lying down to relax during the day, only when I am about to go to sleep. It is amazing how easy it is to get locked into doom scrolling that way. Story 101. I do not know how to explain it, but I am like an internal contrarian. I used to be a very fundamental Christian, and the only way I escaped that was by criticizing and questioning everything. Now, I see there is much more beyond faith that also deserves criticism, thought, and questioning. Everyone says that contrarians are annoying and the worst, and when in bad faith, I agree. However, how can you make any changes to improve without questioning yourself a little? Story 102. Be aware of how you occupy the space around you. Do not stop in front of a doorway. Walk to one side of the path. Avoid crowding someone if possible. It is surprising how little people pay attention to this. I have been walking towards someone who looks up, makes eye contact, then looks back down and either wanders directly into my path at the last minute or becomes upset when I pass by. This happens even after making solid eye contact. I do not understand how someone can have a body and not think about how it exists in space. I have impaired coordination and proprioception due to neurological conditions. Story 103. If I order or make something with meat in it, I typically eat all the meat because an animal sacrificed its life, and I do not want to waste that sacrifice. I do not usually have meals that are heavy in meat. Story 104. Strict bedtime and wake time every day, no exceptions. It is pretty hard following it myself, though I do try. Story 105. Be considerate. Even a little bit of consideration goes a very long way. Story 106. I keep my word, even if everyone else forgets what I said. To me, it shows you really care when you say or do things. That extends to just about everything, so I like to be careful with my words. If I do not follow through on what I said to others, it bothers me personally a lot. I will say it does bother me seeing others say they will do something and never follow up, as if they are trying to please someone in the moment and then forget about it, moving on to something else. Story 107. I will always go to bed with 4 cigarettes. When the lights turn off and sleepiness is at its peak, I need to have 4 cigarettes. 1 before bed, 1 at midnight if I am awake, 1 when I wake up, and 1 after my shower, just before I go to university. I have also been practicing solid boundaries. I say no a lot, shamelessly. I am a leaver. Story 108. Do no harm in someone else's life. If they need me to leave their life, I do so graciously, happily, and swiftly. If they need me back in it, I return the same way. When that happens, though, I giggle to myself. Story 109. Not now, but when I was a kid, no one could go down the slide until the person before them was fully off. This was because my school had several minor injuries in a short time from multiple kids going down at once and landing on each other. It was a good rule for me and my classmates, but unfortunately, I decided to enforce it at random public parks as well. I would stand at the top of the slide and tell people when it was safe to go, then get upset when no one listened because they were not following the rules. To be a self-righteous 8-year-old again. Story 110. Word count. In a conversation, I try to imagine the number of words said by each person. I aim to speak slightly less than the other person to ensure I focus on active listening and do not dominate the conversation. Story 111. Fully read emails. Include all necessary information, such as file paths, in the emails you send. It is frustrating when people respond by asking questions that were already answered in the original email, whether in my own emails or in the chains I am part of. However, this could be related to my autism, which requires and benefits from having all the information. It seems that most people in my workplace are unable to read their emails carefully or send useful ones without requiring multiple follow-up emails. Story 112. It does not cost anything to be nice. Say thank you, say please, say sir or ma'am. Hold doors open for people. Smile. Also, if you are in a bad mood, recognize that and how you may unintentionally or intentionally affect others. Story 113. Do what no one else is doing or is willing to do. Therein lies opportunity. Story 114. Turn signals are an absolute necessity and a fundamental part of changing lanes. Story 115. It is better to have something and not need it than to need something but not have it. This rule has saved me countless times. Story 116. The rule: you are no longer going to let the things that happen to you in your early life be an excuse for who you are and what you do in this world. Everyone likes to say, I had a tough childhood, as an excuse. You have a choice every day to choose to be better. So do that. Story 117. I do not use my phone while driving. People who do are incredibly selfish and need to be reminded how important their lives are. My deceased friend will never see his mother or father again. Story 118. I never pass a rose without stopping to smell it. If I find I do not have time, I should take it as an indication that I need to evaluate my lifestyle. Story 119. Do no harm to yourself or others and have fun. You only live once. Try your best to choose happiness. Story 120. When two lanes of traffic are merging, you let alternate cars go. Story 121. I don't go up to anyone and criticize their wardrobe choices. It's none of my business, and unless you are the parent of a toddler who likes to let their unique personality show at all the wrong times, it's none of your business either. Story 122. It started in the military. I wait 1 second for each stripe on my sleeve before I take charge of the situation and begin taking action. I wait in case someone lower in rank wants to show initiative. Not much in the civilian world requires that level of determination. It has taken me years to adjust. Story 123. When it comes to borrowing money or items from other people, only borrow what you are willing to lose. Story 124. I learned not to let anyone but really good friends borrow my things. I lent a coworker some earrings for her wedding. After everything was done, I asked for my earrings back. She blatantly lied to me and said, "What earrings?" I was very angry. Karma played its hand, and she was let go from her job and replaced by me. We were dental assistants. The doctor of dental surgery never cared for her snarky demeanor, so things worked out in my favor. I never got my earrings back. Story 125. Never reprimand a subordinate in front of others. As a supervisor, your job is to defend those below you, not the practices of those above you. This has been a difficult experience since I started working for a large hospital after leaving the Army. Story 126. Be on time and give as much notice as possible when you cannot be on time. I feel it is disrespectful to show up late to an agreed-upon time, and even more disrespectful when you do not inform the person as soon as you know you will be late. I am not referring to a few minutes due to traffic or red lights. 10 minutes or more deserves at least a quick text. Story 127. In a busy parking lot, please do not attempt to back into a spot, especially if you are not good at it. My blood boils when there are 10 cars waiting for one car to back into a spot. Story 128. Recycling is a must. It is how I was raised, and when I take a carload of items to the center to sort at least once a month, it reassures me that I am doing my part for this amazing little rock we live on. Story 129. If we are in a busy area like a mall, it does not matter how crowded it is. Do not walk between toddlers and their parents. My boyfriend and brother do this constantly, and it drives me crazy, but nobody has ever said anything. It is just a rule I made up in my head. Story 130. When driving, if you are in a turn lane by accident, complete the wrong turn and make a legal U-turn down the road. There is no reason to make a sudden, unexpected lane change at a pinch point on a freeway or on a two-lane road. Story 131. If it is going to make you happy, and it really will not take that much money or time, just do it no matter how unreasonable it is. Last week, I wanted to lay in a blanket fort. I told my husband. That weekend, we bought a mountable clothesline and some new sheets and made a blanket fort over the bed. It is silly, it looks silly, and it is not practical for sleeping in. My husband usually tears his side down in his sleep. Unintentionally, but every day I come home and fix the fort, climb in, put a thunderstorm sound on my headphones, and do my homework in a pillow fort pretending to be in the middle of a storm despite being in a 110 degrees desert. It makes me really happy and happy to do my homework. If it is stupid but it works, it is not stupid. Story 132. Cancel a service if it becomes subscription-based. Keep as few subscriptions as possible. There are workarounds for many things, and what is left is not worth the price. Story 133. Do not immediately try to board the elevator. Let the doors open and ensure nobody is getting off. Always allow people to exit before you board. Story 134. Actually stopping at stop signs. It's amazing how no one stops at stop signs and gets upset when I do. It has saved me from a few accidents where other drivers have gone full speed through the four-way stops. Another rule: no road rage. If I get cut off, I don't care, and I only honk if the person is merging into my lane when they have no room to do so. That still doesn't stop them from getting mad at me, but that's their problem. If people would just stay calm on the road, everyone's commute would be much better. Story 135. Washing your hands properly after using the bathroom is important. Please wash them thoroughly. Story 136. Don't kill things because they inconvenience you. I catch and release almost every bug in my house that my roommates have a problem with, but if I'm not around, they will just kill them. Harmless ants, cockroaches, spiders, and so on. The time it takes to place a cup over something, slide some paper underneath, and carry it outside is insignificant considering it is a living being, usually less than a minute of your time. I pray nobody kills me for the crime of being small. Exception: mosquitoes. I kill those immediately because they are nearly impossible to catch. Story 137. Rules for dating. No dating people who are more than 10 years older or younger. No online long-distance dating. Dating prospects must live within 40 miles of my zip code. No uprooting my life or moving away from my friends, family, and job unless there is a ring on my finger. With online dating, if people do not want to meet in a public place to see if there is mutual chemistry or prefer to continue getting to know each other, that is also a no-go. No ladies who pout in pictures. Story 138. Prioritize. If you say you put family first, then do it. Story 139. I hate when people take up the whole escalator. Please move over so I can walk up. I am 99% sure escalators were invented to help people walk up faster, not just to be lifted. If you are standing, at least make room so I can walk past you. I always make space in case someone needs to pass me, especially if it is a crowded escalator or an airport. Story 140. I avoid killing any creature I can, including all insects and other pests. Even insects I don't like, such as houseflies or wasps, I will just relocate. The only exception I make is for parasites, but even then I do not seek out that confrontation. Story 141. Saying please and thank you, even if it seems unnecessary or people do not respond with you or welcome. Story 142. I do not stare at people who are in uncomfortable or embarrassing situations unless I am about to offer assistance or evaluate if I can. Otherwise, I look away and mind my own business. I cannot stand people who stop in their tracks and blatantly stare at someone who is struggling or embarrassed without offering to help. Story 143. Let people be happy. Obviously, happiness should not come at someone else's expense. But if someone is happy and enjoying something, let them be happy. You do not need to make fun of them or tear them down, even privately, to feel better about yourself. Story 144. Don't lie ever unless it is to save a loved one from trouble. Pay back money as soon as possible. I hate liars and I hate owing people money. Others do not seem to mind them so much towards me, though. Story 145. Strength exists only so that those who possess it may defend, protect, and serve those weaker than themselves. The strength one has must be dedicated to the upkeep of those less powerful. Where this is misunderstood, there must be reckoning. Story 146. If someone sends you a message, you should respond within a reasonable time frame. There are exceptions, but unless you have a specific reason, it is rude when people do not follow this rule. Story 147. Don't complain. I don't vent to people. I compartmentalize things. I've never liked being on the receiving end of this behavior. I've had a lot of it in my life due to the mental illnesses in my family, so I am very sensitive to it. I keep it to a minimum. Story 148. I'm not superstitious and I won't take any chances in that regard because I prefer to keep it that way. Story 149. Never drink when you are unhappy. It is simple and maybe obvious, but if everyone followed this rule, there would be much less violence, regret, and heartbreak in the world. Story 150. My mom raised me with the saying, if you understand cookies, cake, ice cream, Disneyland, video games, and fun, you understand sit down and be quiet. It always helped me when I was at a doctor's office. For context, I have severe attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and it was really bad when I was a kid. Story 151. Cuddle back at least as much as they cuddled you or as much as you want to be cuddled. Story 152. Stay to the right, specifically when walking on the sidewalk. Story 153. I do not have any drinks at all during the week. Work is stressful enough. I do not need to add a hangover. This habit has served me well for more than 30 years. Story 154. This goes back to my military days. If they do not know your name, you have not made enough mistakes and you are doing well. I would also add that the less you know, the better you are. If you do not know anything that happened because you were not there, you will never get in trouble. If they knew something happened that affected somebody's life, you better come forward. Story 155. Always do more than is expected. Sometimes it can be problematic and done is better than perfect situations, but usually if someone asks for a favor or something easy of you at your job or at home, it feels good to say, I did X and I also Y while I was at it. Often that extra thing is something they just haven't gotten to yet, and you're crossing something off someone else's to-do list, which goes a long way with people. Don't overextend yourself, but just do something extra. It's a good way to remain favorable and make life easier for yourself. Story 156. I am not always right. I have been wrong many times before. There is a distinct possibility that I am wrong about this as well. Story 157. Please return the shopping cart when you have finished loading your car. Also, do not park in the curbside pickup spots if you plan to shop inside. Story 158. Your happiness is not my responsibility. My happiness is my responsibility. Story 159. Do not be a hypocrite if you can possibly help it. If you end up being a hypocrite, examine what went wrong and avoid those mistakes. Story 160. If it costs less than $1 and you lose it often, buy 10 and place them everywhere. Pens and nail clippers are two big examples. I have nail clippers in multiple drawers around the house. I am not going to spend half my day looking for the darn nail clippers. Story 161. If I see a lone piece of trash on the ground, I pick it up, especially if there is a trash can in sight. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.